playing the theater organ when the Paramount opened in Charlottesville on Thanksgiving 1931. Following World War I, a wave of prosperity and America's growing obsession with the movies resulted in the construction of beautiful movie theaters in towns and cities throughout America. These beautiful theaters, called movie palaces, were entertainment showplaces. When the Paramount decided to build in Charlottesville, they selected the Rapp brothers to design the theater. The Rapp brothers chose a colonial design reflective of Charlottesville history. The former site of the Martin Hardware Building, which had been destroyed by fire, was chosen for the Paramount Theater.
The lavish decor extended up the sloping foyer, down to the lounges and cosmetic room, around the corner into the lobby, through 5 entrances into the auditorium. The stage with its wide proscenium was used for live shows.
You could put a screen on rollers, and there would have been no difficulty in the 30s of having the small screen and just roll it back against the back wall.
The cornice all around the room had escutcheons and medallions in relief painted with gold leaf highlights. The spectacular octagonal ceiling was a tribute to the influence of Thomas Jefferson's design. Every panel around the octagon was painted with swags and garlands of a French motif. It was lofty as a palace interior. Paintings 2 stories high depicted the colonial period. The aisle seats had casings with a classical motif.
If you remember, when you're looking at the screen, the theater is so much wider than it is deep. It's a delightful house.
The acoustics and sightlines were ideal, even from the balcony.
Immediately behind and above the balcony seating was the projection booth, which housed the 2 projectors and associated equipment. 2 arc lamp projectors were used to provide for continuous showing of movies without stopping to change reels, as would have been the case in earlier movie theaters when only 1 projector was used. The projectionist was kept busy rewinding and threading film and monitoring the performance of the projectors. Looking down from the projection booth, the false boxes can be seen, which housed the organ pipes. Other organ parts were also located here. The great theater organs were the centerpieces of the movie palaces, and the Paramount's was a beautiful Wurlitzer. These organs were originally made for the silent movies, and when the talkies came, they became solo instruments. Theater organists became stars in their own right, and moviegoers found the organ music as exciting as the movie, and the music of the theater organ became part of everyday life. Brownie, the first Paramount organist, performed in Charlottesville for only a few months, but is well remembered by Charlottesville citizens.
It's great joys of Paramount. They had this organ. And the first organist that we called, his name was Brownie. Oh, he played that organ. We used to go just to hear Brownie.
Well, I can remember when the Paramount first opened up, and I used to like to go because they had this organ, and it used to come up out the floor. Yeah. And the man that played the organ, his name was Brownie. And we used to go because we liked to hear him play the organ. He used to play about half an hour before the movie would start.
The organ was sold to a gentleman in Burlington, North Carolina. He came and disassembled the organ. It took him quite a while to do it. The interesting thing is we actually got the organ playing, and we were using it for some of our stage shows before the company decided to sell the organ.
The Paramount sign, containing almost 2,000 light bulbs, soon became a downtown landmark. Opening night was attended by a formally attired audience who were greeted by white-gloved doormen and ushers in wingtip collars.
Every day, cartoons, travelogues, newsreels, comedy shorts, and sometimes stage shows were added attractions to the feature film. Before the University of Virginia ever broadcast their games on the radio, they were seen on the Paramount screen. And other local events were shown, like the annual Alumni Barbecue in McCormick Dell.
In the years after opening night, the Paramount featured stage shows with dancing girls, comedians, and magicians. A Charlottesville resident, one of the first doormen at the Paramount, remembers the dancing girls as some of the freshest girls ever seen in Charlottesville. UVA students attended many a movie to get front row views of these attractive girls.
Fred Waring and Russ Morgan, whose mellow sounds appealed to Depression audiences, and other greats of the big band era played here. Their solo instrumentalists had the following like rock stars do today. And the exuberance of swing music and the dancing that music inspired attracted huge crowds in the late 30s to hear U.B. Blake, Fats Waller, and Duke Ellington. The rare chance to see a live Broadway show was provided by the Paramount on several occasions. Green Pastures, a retelling of Old Testament tales set in 30s America, had an all-black cast of actors and musicians. Major Beau's hit radio show was here to give amateur talent an opportunity or the gong. And the first Paramount manager directed Kiwanis Minstrels here, which showcased local talent and made fun of local personalities to an enthusiastic crowd. The National Symphony Orchestra played here. And on Sundays, while the movie business was prohibited by blue laws, the Paramount still opened its stage to municipal band concerts, Virginia Players dramas, and benefits that raised money for such as University of Virginia band uniforms. An invocation ceremony that ushered in homecoming was here.
The Paramount obeyed the blue laws, but starting at midnight each Sunday, the most risque movies of the time were shown. The Paramount management took a bold step when it scheduled the first showing of a Sunday movie. Despite objections from various local groups, The Devil arrived in Charlottesville on the movie Showboat, and the Paramount manager was summoned to court, and the judge ordered a jury trial. In July 1936, the people spoke when the jury decided in favor of the Paramount and Sunday movies. Citizen complaints of nude dancing by a young fan dancer on the Paramount stage resulted in her arrest, and the dancer was brought to court and charged with indecent exposure. The fan dancer displayed her costume of a small brassiere and a pair of flesh-colored panties as proof she was clothed. The prosecutor stated the clothing covered no more than eye shades and asked for a conviction of indecent exposure. The bits of clothing tilted the scales of justice in favor of the fan dancer, and the judge dismissed the charges.
Blackstone, the Ziegfeld of magicians, brought his company of 40 entertainers, mostly beautiful girls, in a show of 1,001 wonders to delight all age groups. With the nation's plunge into World War II, the Paramount sold war bonds under the marquee every day and accepted scrap metal as the price of admission on occasion. While rubber and gas rationing restricted travel, the Paramount, at the center of downtown, did a thriving business. While the movies exploited the war story, they still raised wartime morale, and there were war bond rallies where, with rousing organ music, appearances by movie stars, war heroes, and UVA's All-American Bill Dudley, there were premieres of acclaimed movies and stage shows with name entertainers for which the only admission was the purchase of a war bond. With World War II victory came a stream of technical innovations, three-dimensional cinema, Cinerama, CinemaScope, various ways movie producers could compete with television, and the Paramount kept pace with these developments and stayed at the center of a downtown activity. There were kids shows in the summer, and festivals promoting downtown had rallies at the Paramount Theater. Merchants gave customers free tickets to My Lady's Movie Matinee stage and screen presentations where local businesses showcased their wares and their fashions and gave prizes to winners of audience games. Midnight ghost shows were live entertainment popular with teenagers from the 30s into the 70s. A magician on stage created illusions enhanced by luminous paint. Robert Spencer remembers.
Have the ghosts floating all through the air and skeletons going up and down the aisles. Guy would come out with a huge snake draped over his shoulders, and as he came toward the front of the stage, he pretended to trip, and as he tripped and lunged forward like this, the snake apparently fell off his shoulders, and at the moment the snake fell, the house went completely black.
Teenagers, the main audience for 1960s movies, could talk to their favorite DJ while they waited in line at the Paramount. Another local DJ promoted shows at the Paramount where local musicians and dancers shared the bill with teenage idols on the Paramount stage. In 1968, the Dogwood Pageant and Variety Show were here with the amazing Kirkwood as performing master of ceremonies who introduced the acts and crowned the beauty queen. First-run movies still drew large crowds of well-attired patrons through the 60s, but the movement into the suburbs and competition from multi-screen movie houses proved too much finally, and in June of 1974, the Paramount closed.
The lights of the Paramount were dimmed for a number of years. However, in 1992, the Paramount Group was formed to restore the theater to its former beauty and as a community center for theatrical performances. The Paramount Group has moved steadily towards its goal and has accomplished the initial steps of restoration. Volunteers are actively recruited to assist in the restoration of this fine old theater.